You're disappearing in all the right spots.
In all the right spots. This is amazing. So the system works if you just, march through and believe
and
it.
Execute.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You actually have to do something.
Yep, and as you always say, keep it simple. Do A, B, C over and over again for a long period of time, and it will eventually be seen what's really going on. So good for you.
Well, and people are, okay, I'll tell you a little story before we get into our topic for today. Topics, there'll be several.
Multiple.
I went into Banana Republic to buy some clothes because I can't fit in anything anymore because it's like I don't have this bulbous thing right here. And the first thing the guy said was, well, you need an athletic fit.
Right.
And
graduating.
So I put the athletic fit shirt on, and it was just a little too athletic for my taste.
Not quite there.
So I'm in classic fit.
Classic.
But it's a tapered fit.
Yes, and eventually, so it's movement in the right direction. So that's great.
Yeah. So I'm looking good, feeling good. The clothes, if I may, this is going to look weird, but this is the belt, and this is where.
Wow.
That's
no kidding.
I mean, look at. That's how much
I
lost.
Amazing.
So
on the right direction.
All the way down. I don't even know what to do with the rest of that belt. And that's just in 10 weeks.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
And we haven't even done any changes yet. We're still in what I would consider that starting point. I always tell people about 8 to 10 weeks, and what we're going to be doing soon, probably next week, is really taking a detailed look at. We know the plan that I prescribe, and people have seen that on the site, but we need to see where you are in actuality versus what's on the script, just to see where it's at, and then see what we need to do going forward to keep propelling now the changes, because you've done it long enough where we have an idea of that initial starting calorie point.
Mm-hmm.
What do we need to do? But we'll get into that in detail probably next week.
Next week, all right. So next week is Christmas week.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, look what I'm going to get for Christmas: a new body. Just what I wanted.
It's a gift that keeps on giving, right?
Yes. Jeff's gift. Okay, so let's talk about our topics.
Well, one thing that it kind of keeps coming up in one way or another, and I think it's interesting because you can be eating a healthy diet, but a healthy diet and a diet that's going to best produce a body composition change are not necessarily the same.
How?
What I mean by that is, you can be eating, choosing healthy foods, lots of fruits and vegetables, which no doubt are healthy. But if you don't have the right kind of nutrients, meaning the right ratios of protein and timing your carbohydrates correctly, and mainly that consistent protein intake and some smart supplementation, you're not going to be maximizing that body composition change, which is brought on by muscle building. I mean, that's really the thing. Muscle building, and I was just talking to someone today about that, is like we want to scratch, claw, and fight for every ounce of muscle we can get to maintain and to build it, because that raises our resting metabolic rate. But a big part about that is the nutrition part, and by that I mean the nutritional support to build and maintain muscle. So again, you could be eating a healthy diet, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a diet productive to maximizing that change. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. So what about a vegan diet?
Definitely healthy, but it just becomes more challenging. And I don't know enough about it to know how to make complete proteins. There's ways you can do it, and people who I'm sure know a lot about that. There are ways you can do it. You just have to be smart about what you're combining to get the complete proteins. And again, I don't profess to know anything about that really, but the message really is, because like some of the clients I work with in coaching, they'll show me their plans, and I can say, they're eating a healthy diet, low-fat diet, again, fruits, vegetables, but usually they're low in protein, and usually they're not combining enough, because people are taught to be carbohydrate phobic, really.
Right.
And we need carbohydrates, we just need to put them at the right times, which, as we know, is in that pre- and post-workout bubble, and that's critical for getting that body composition change. And one thing we talked about, which just kind of makes me think about this, like, remember, the actual act of working out is catabolic in nature. Mm-hmm. It encourages tissue breakdown, especially depending on the way you're training. So some of these other training programs that are more of the exhaustive kind, the high volume kind, or 45 minutes on a treadmill, those really encourage tissue breakdown. And if you're failing to do the right stuff nutritionally, particularly after your workout, you could find that the person actually starts to look worse over time. and they
Right.
start to get less and less muscle tone and actually look worse, and that's because of the way they're training. But more specifically to this topic, they're not their diet and their nutrition plan is not designed, although it might be healthy, it's not designed to maximize the change in body composition. And that being said, that's not to say that a diet is unhealthy to maximize the body composition change. It's just it's a very specific thing.
Well, something that popped up in my head when you were when we went briefly into a topic that you don't know anything about, which
Yeah.
is vegan. But you think about it, we did talk about how people are actually, you say you're phobic about carbohydrates, but people are actually phobic about too much protein.
That's true. That's
so
true.
what is the first thing that a vegan wants to do? Get protein out of plant foods.
Mm-hmm.
Because they know that they need protein.
Right.
So
That's a good point.
if that's one of the first things that's first and foremost to them is, I need to combine rice and beans to get the right kind of proteins, and then I need to do this and that, and pea pods or whatever
Right.
it is that they use. I think that that's a testimonial right there that we shouldn't be afraid of protein.
Right, and there is no question if you are really, and again, remember, scratch, claw, fight for every ounce of muscle you can, because that's the key to change your body. And if you're really committed to doing that, you have to have an emphasis on getting protein into your diet and carbohydrates at the right times.
That's it. Carbohydrates at the right times. In other words, you don't want to have like a big meal at the end of the day with muffins and.
No, however, if you did work out late in the day, you still want to have food around your workout, which is a good point.
Yeah.
Because like the person I was working with today, she was wondering like if her workout is in the afternoon or later, early evening, should that post-workout bubble still count? And absolutely yes. One of the biggest, bunk mythology stuff is don't eat after a certain hour. That's complete crap. If you work out in the evening, you still want carbohydrates around your workout. That's not going to get you fat. Mm-hmm. Now, if it's a non-training hour, you don't want the carbohydrates there, but that has less to do with the time of day and more to do with when your workout is.
There you go. Okay. Hooray, we got some good information there. That was awesome. See, look at the energy I had. Because this isn't in the way.
That's magnificent.
Yes, it is. All right, topic number 2. Before we get into our next topic, I want to tell you something about another observation that I've been finding. As we gain weight or get older, first of all, we have to decide how old we want to look. Right? And,
okay. We're good.
That's okay. We're in an active gym. We're just taking over an entire corner. So the thing that we do is as we start hurting and getting bigger, things start aching. And we just think, oh, well, I'm just getting older. It's the creaks, it's the aches, you just can't put up with it. Like when I got plantar fasciitis, that was because I was getting too heavy. And I was running long distances, but I was too heavy for that. So I just thought I had to live with it. So, and another thing too is that I had trouble tying my shoes and even getting my shoes on and even getting my underwear on. So if any of you out there have been overweight, here's the trick, right? You know what I'm talking about? You put your hand up here and you do the hook to get it over. That, or the worse yet, is that you put the underwear or your pants on the ground, so you step into the holes and pull them up like fire pants.
Now this is information that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, and you can tell too when somebody is overweight that they can't tie their shoes right, because they have to tie their shoes by putting their leg up here, and their laces are not in the center. Their laces are right here.
Ah.
So it's and the thing is that it's just one more thing that we put up with.
Yeah.
And I've been realizing every single day that there's one more thing that I don't have to put up with anymore. I can get my clothes on properly. When I put my shirt on, I don't have to go, it doesn't hook here. Because there's a video of me putting my tank top on and my gut hooks it. And I gotta go like this. And so don't put up with any of the stuff that's happening with your body, because you don't have to. You can do something about it.
You can make a decision to make a change.
Exactly.
And then execute a smart plan, and then let the results take care of themselves.
So I've hijacked this moment long enough.
No, it's good. It's good insight, and it's related.
Yeah.
All of our things are related in one way or another. But one thing I thought would be interesting to talk about is, to me, there is a vast difference between being skinny and being lean.
That's true.
And
one's big and one's
well,
not.
one I would say is muscular, and one could be actually skinny fat, which is when you're small, but you've wasted away a lot of muscle, so your body composition isn't necessarily any better. It might be worse, but you're smaller. And that has to do with if you're on an ineffective or inefficient plan that is causing, oftentimes that could be caused by like long duration workouts and workouts that are super high rep training, coupled with, let's say, doing cardio on an empty stomach. And I could go on and on and on about the things that could lead to that. But the reason I point this out is because I got to tell you, I am so sick and tired of this whole obsession as a culture.
How sick and tired are you?
Well, we're obsessed with weight. Weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. I mean, from the radio commercials to the morning TV to everything, weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. It's the wrong focus. The wrong focus. The focus should be fat loss and body composition, because that's how A, you're going to look how you want to look, and B, it's how you're going to maintain how you want to look, because your metabolism is going to be better. So I bring up this notion of the difference between skinny and lean, because if you're lean, it means you've done a smart plan. It means you have muscle tone. It means you're smaller in the right spots, but shapely in the right spots too, and have a degree of muscle tone. If you've followed something that focuses on rapid weight loss, most typically, not always, but most typically, that's what leads to the skinny fat thing, where you're skinnier or smaller, but not in really better shape. And I think it's so important to know, because again, you want to work on a system like this that is focusing on body composition change. Scratch, claw, fight for every ounce of muscle you can, because that's going to raise your resting metabolic rate, which at the end of a part where someone gets more comfortable with and with what they've achieved and how they want to look, then it's more maintainable if you've done it that way. If you have focused on nothing but weight loss, you're going to have a problem long term. You might do okay up front, but there will be long-term ramifications, because you will have goofed up your metabolism from wasting muscle.
Well, it really doesn't take rocket science to say that if you just look at the fat loss, fat takes no energy in your body. It just sits there. Muscle takes energy to live.
Right, correct.
So if you have more of the muscle, it takes energy to live. That's why you call it your resting metabolic rate.
Right.
Because it's taking calories to stay alive.
Correct. It takes a lot of chemical reactions, which is basically what metabolism means, the rate of chemical reactions to sustain it. You're absolutely right. And then not only that, but that too is what produces the look that people are really after. Because as we talked about before, don't be scared of building muscle, because you're not going to get big and bulky, but you will look great, and you'll be toned and shapely and sexy and all those things that you want. You gotta attack aggressively the muscle building part of the equation, and that's what's one of the main things that differentiates this system from other ones, is that emphasis on muscle building.
Right. Well, and the muscle building is, who wouldn't want that, right?
I think when it's explained clearly, people should say, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that's my hope, that through these discussions, the light bulb will click at some point and say, yep, that makes sense.
Well, I'm going to sound sexist, but since I started doing this, I've been doing a lot of my own research, and a lot of my research is just observational as well. But when you look at all of the ads lined up, women, now please don't email, don't write, don't beat me up. But ads directed toward women are about weight loss. Ads directed toward men are about muscle.
Yeah, typically.
You can get a six-pack in 6 weeks. You can lose 30 pounds in 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where women are kind of getting the short end of the stick, actually, because they are afraid of weights. Not everybody, but typically when I say, oh, you need to lift weights, the woman will usually say, well, I don't want to get big.
I don't want to get big, yep. Almost instantaneous, well, I don't want to get big, or I don't want to be a bodybuilder.
You're not gonna.
Yep, and I'll take it a step further though. The thing is that I always think from a perspective wise, you do want to be a bodybuilder, because all bodybuilding is manipulating body composition. Now, to compete, you're just taking it to an extreme, but true, really. So yeah, you do, in a sense. Mm-hmm. That's what you're doing, and that's why the system is essentially, universal, because that's really what you're trying to do, body composition. So again, it's just like, and I understand it, because you're just beat over the head with weight loss. Oh, I got to lose 20. Another thing that drives me nuts while I'm going at it was that, well, I got to lose 15 pounds. How do you know? No, you got to drop fat, whatever that weight may be. Now, when we're doing this system, there will be a downward trend on the scale over time as you're losing fat, no doubt. But this notion that you can arbitrarily pluck some number out of the sky and say, well, I need to drop X amount of pounds, is absurd, because when we're working on body composition, you're going to be building some muscle if you're doing it right, losing some fat. So at the end, who knows what that weight will be? So that really bothers me. But I understand why people think that, because it's really all you hear. Mm-hmm. Especially coming up this time of year, weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. How many pounds did you drop? And this biggest loser mentality. And I just think it's time that, I'm going to keep fighting my fight to try to get people to look at it as body composition, fat loss, not weight loss.
Fat loss, not weight loss. And and I will guarantee you that if you step off the scale for months and weeks, we all want to go back to the scale. We always do. I mean, I do occasionally, but I'll tell you what, if you keep watching the scale, you will not watch it go down.
It's going to be discouraging, because you're not going to get, especially if you're doing this system, because this system is designed for fat loss, not weight loss. It's designed for muscle building and body composition change, which means that's a process that takes time. We could do a lot of stuff that would encourage rapid weight loss, but the problem is you're going to hit that brick wall and all those things we just talked about. But to do it this way, it's a longer process, because building muscle takes time and losing fat takes time. It's an overall body process, and you got to do a lot of things right, et cetera, et cetera. So he's absolutely right. And if you become a slave to that number, it's going to be discouraging. And the next thing you know, you're going to say, well, I'm not dropping weight fast enough. In fact, some of our subscribers contact me, and you showed, because we're doing it from a number standpoint to kind of show some things relative to start point, and you showed an initial drop in the poundage number. Right. So some people are concerned, well, hey, I'm following along, and Stuart dropped more weight than I did. Am I doing something wrong? And I always have to remind them, don't look at that number. Are your pants fitting better? Are you getting stronger? Are the numbers going up? How are you looking? And then giving it that 8 to 10 week start point and all those things. But it's just so important in the end. And this, guys, this is not the last time you'll hear me say this, because I just think the message is so important. And we're fighting against 24-hour bombardment of the other message. So you're going to keep hearing it from me, just to help drive it home, so I can help all of you stay on task and keep executing.
There you go. That's the final word. Execute. Love that.